Hello, welcome to Xendergarten, episode 6. We have me, Tristan Bay. We have D2, who is currently eating bread. We have Xeno Index. We
Hello.
have Dead Shaman. And of course, we have user -1. How y'all are doing today?
I'm also in this.
Nice.
I can't believe you forgot to say ground.
It's okay. I'm too busy being on the grind, you know.
Oh, and yeah, we have ground. Sorry.
I'm the Zentrepreneur on that grind.
Yes, you are.
Someday I hope to make a decent amount of money doing something. And that's my business plan.
Hopefully doing Zen. That's how
Yeah.
you become a Zentrepreneur.
Well, I'm in the planning stages for manufacturing a lower cost isomorphic keyboard for playing Zen because the see-through music Axis 49 and 64 were not the greatest pieces of hardware, honestly. Pretty solid design, but the velocity sensitivity and key feel weren't great. And then the Lumitone is $4,000, so I'm sure there has to be another option.
Yeah, I mean, if you just think about it, the Lumitone is $4,000 for 280 keys. That is a very high price to key ratio.
You could buy $4,001 keyboards if you think about it.
Yeah, but like you still need all the other routing and stuff because with with thousands of cheap keyboards, it's not like you can do a lot with them.
I mean, I'm still planning out all the components that I need, but I'll be going for a low-cost FPGA-based design. And it should be under $1,000, definitely. I mean, if I can't get it under $1,000, what am I doing?
How many
Yeah.
keys and what is the mode of velocity sensitivity?
I haven't decided either of those yet. I think there's going to be multiple different sizes, and I have to do a lot of research into potential layouts in order to decide which sizes are the best. And velocity sensitivity, I also have to devise the mechanism for key actuation before I can decide what mode of velocity sensitivity. And to do that, I have to read the Lumitone key design patent again. I don't want to do that. I'm tired of reading patents.
Well, I mean, you could do what I was planning on doing first, which was basically making like a shaft design for velocity sensitivity, where there's a spring that pushes the key up to like the top, um, and it contacts like a thing, and if you push it down, it breaks that contact, and on the bottom, it joins with another contact, and the difference of timing between the breaking of the first contact and the joining of the bottom one would give you your velocity.
Yeah, having the two switch design is very elegant and probably what I'm going to go with because of the low cost. However,
Yeah.
using a resistor strip to allow for aftertouch is definitely tempting.
Well, actually, my current design now, because that's what I was doing before, the contact and stuff. What I'm doing now is a force-sensitive resistor design. You can bring up the Discord image that I sent with all of the wires and stuff like that on the breadboard and the green 3D printed keys, because that's currently my alpha stage prototype that I'm working on. It's got a milled circuit board, and each of those green keys has velostat underneath. And this is basically the same idea as this guy named Jim Snow is doing with his just intonation keyboard. He's much further along in his project than I am, but he also uses force sensitive resistance based keys, and it's really thin and it works really well. So FSR is a way.
Yes, that's definitely a very promising technique. I think because I am optimizing my product for wider production than I would assume a lot of other microtonal keyboards would be designed for, I think I might just go for the 2-switch design.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if you want some springs for that 2-switch design, like if you want to go with my design, I'm not sure if I'm actually going to use mine anymore. And I paid like $100 including shipping for like 50 springs. So I can sell some springs to you at a lower cost.
Wow, we're out here making business deals on Xendergarten.
Yay.
No way.
Maybe Xendergarten isn't a good time to make sweet trade deals. But
insert TikTok trade offer meme.
You receive springs. I get $50. I don't know.
Obviously, I'm very early in the planning stages here, so all of this is subject to change. But I am determined to at least get far enough. I don't know what that means. There's a very good chance that I will get too tired to work on this project or not want to risk however many $1,000s that I have to for capital to put this into production. Maybe I'll just drink. It's easier to do that.
Yeah, that's fair. But speaking of keyboards, I talked about this before the recording, but I'm going to say it again for our lovely, 2 listeners. So I currently have a Launchpad Mini. You think it just has 64 keys, but if you do some special JSFX remapping shenanigans, you actually get a total of 80 keys, and you can even configure it using custom software, which I wrote in JSFX, to make some of the buttons actually change the layout over time and color the keys according to a color map configuration file, or various color map configuration files. I'm probably going to post screenshots and videos of this in the final edit. But anyway, so I have one Launchpad, a Launchpad Mini, so no velocity sensitivity, but a ton of buttons for the money. I'm going to get 3 more, so I'm going to have 4 total, which is going to be 320 total buttons, which if you take out the 8 notes that I use for layout remapping stuff, that's 312 buttons, which happens to be enough to play 1 full octave of the highly praised 311 Edo, and that's more buttons total than what you'd get on a Lumitone for 1/10 of the price, which is absolutely amazing.
I just thought of that.
You made Square Lumitone.
I was gonna say, hey, that's exactly how much you need for 1 octave of 311.
Yeah.
Or even better, it's a little more than an octave of 270, which I guess in some cases is better than 311. But
yeah, it depends on I don't know, but I just think it's so cool because people on the server always talk about 311 Edo as this amazing theoretical object, but by tomorrow afternoon I will be able to touch it with my own fingers.
You'll be able to fondle 311 EDO.
Oh no.
Do I need to make a 311 Edo focused keyboard? Instead of using regular key switches, it would probably just use those cheap chiclet buttons. And then it'll have 1,000 of them. I'm going to need quite the multiplexer for the input, but
Should I just get like a bunch of those like cheap tactile switches, or that wouldn't be very good for a keyboard, like a MIDI keyboard?
Well, it wouldn't, but you know what else wouldn't be good for a keyboard? 311 Ito.
The best part is, if you, like, even if you have an 1,000-note keyboard, you will only be able to play just a little over 3 octaves of 311. So if you wanted to, like, have the same range as a full-range keyboard, you'd probably need, like, 2,000 or 3,000. It's like the tonal plexus, too. Electric Boogaloo.
Tonal plexus, except it's like being punched right in the tonal plexus.
That's just not true. You don't need to have so much keys, because I know that idea is kinda was never adopted by anyone completely, and I should try to check it myself. Is it even possible? Is it even something that we should consider? But if I guess someone can remember my old idea about using two different linearly independent temperaments and playing in them at the same time can be interpreted as playing in a rank 4 temperament. So
I do remember
yeah.
this. You mentioned it on episode 2,
Actually, did I? Nice.
We're
But
slowly expanding the Xendergarten lore. Although right now we're in the
yes.
Xendergarten gameplay, so...
The Xendergarten
Your gameplay.
Oh, that's great.
Now we need this Xendergarten DLC.
What's in the Xendergarten DLC?
The Xendergarten DLC will be my keyboard once I actually have a product that I can release. Because you got to pay for DLC, you know, so you're going to be paying for that.
Yay.
Yeah.
Please buy it.
Speaking of instruments, sorry, voice crack. Speaking of instruments, I got my kite guitar back recently.
Yay.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Maybe a little later in the episode I can preview it. But it sounds pretty good. I'm not sure how much I'll need to tune it again, even though I just tuned it last night. But yeah, it's a fully fretted nylon string classical kite guitar. I think maybe only the second or third of which have ever been made, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kite guitar is actually pretty cool. I mean, I know different people have different opinions about, like, 41 Ito. Actually, I think Ground mentioned this before, that 41 Ito does work really well on guitar because of how it was designed for the kite guitar, and I completely agree with that. I've never actually played a kite guitar before. If we ever meet up in real life, please, if you bring your kite guitar, I'll bring my 4 Launchpads and show everyone how my custom script can make it so much more useful.
I guess I'll bring my Axis 49 and my 27 Ito guitar.
I'll bring, I don't know what I'm gonna bring.
You can bring hexaflexagons.
Yeah.
Maybe I should just bring my 31-tone kalimba, because there's that too. I could maybe make like a smaller 22-tone kalimba.
We're gonna just have a pile of instruments. Like,
Xendergarten jam session.
if we hopefully meet up for Microtonal Adventures 2024, we'll get a hotel room and just pile all the instruments on one of the beds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be kind of weird if we were like all sleeping like in the same hotel room though, because that would be a lot of people.
No. We need one hotel room just for the instruments, and then like
Oh,
a guy
I
to
see.
sleep in the other bed just to watch him.
I will add my API to the pile.
Nice.
Although if anyone is willing to room with me, that would be very funny.
I will watch those Xendergarten instruments.
To be honest, I'm completely indifferent when it comes to like where would I like sleep. if I get a chance to meet you guys in person.
Yeah. It's going to be quite a long flight, I imagine, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty long for some of us, especially since you have to fly all the way, like, over Lake Doramos and whatnot to get to the other side of the US.
Like Doramo.
Oh
Like
no.
the Ramos.
Did you know that the US actually got even longer recently? Wad Wizard posted about this in the server. Let me find the image.
Oh yeah, repost it in the
no.
chat so everyone can see it.
Oh, D already posted it. Oh well. I'm posting it again. But yeah, the even longer US, the US
Oh
DLC.
my god. Lake Uniqualand.
Wait a second. When I bought my only ever ultra-wide monitor in 2015, this is what I got it for. It was made for this. So let me just pull it up on my ultra-wide monitor.
Oh my god.
And then you need to take a picture of it on your ultra-wide monitor so we can all see it. It's kind of funny how everyone talks about Lake Doramos, but nobody talks about Lake Uniqueland.
It's a conspiracy.
It's kind of a lame lake. It's only like 1 inch deep.
No, Lake Doramos is the one that's 1 inch deep and always frozen. That's why it's so interesting. But Lake Uniqueland is just a normal lake, and it's so boring in comparison. You can't actually live in the middle of it like you live in the middle of Lake Doramos. It's very sad, actually.
Lake Uniqueland wasn't really that unique.
Yeah. It's like how Greenland is the icy one and Iceland is the green one. The people were just drunk when they were naming these states, I swear.
They wanted to drive everyone else to Greenland.
This map is so badly drawn because Lake Billimore is actually a lava lake, not a water lake, but they just colored it with water, with the watercolor.
The reason this map is so badly drawn is because actually all of these states do exist, except the government is repressing our knowledge of them as part of a conspiracy. So the guy who made this map is basically like a real truth seeker.
Yeah.
And sure, maybe he doesn't know how to art. Maybe he doesn't know how to geography. But that's okay, because he's telling us what we need to hear.
There. I played it. I played a song on the guitar, but really badly.
If you're going to play something, you might as well play the My Little Pony theme song.
Oh god.
I can get that for you. Let's see if I can do that. It starts on That's the wrong key. Nope. It does start on an F sharp. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Welcome
really
to the
scrambled
next
for that one.
episode of My Little Spoogly. Spoobing is magic.
Amazing.
What is that instrument, by the way?
This is a bass recorder in F, so D major,
Oh.
not the easiest key. And also, I've never played this before, so I had to struggle.
I have like multiple like Indian recorders. I don't even know if they count as like bansuris because I play them from the end, not from the side. But I don't think they're in a fully like 12-tone equal temperament scale. I think they're actually a little bit microtonal.
That is based.
Yay.
Yeah, it sounds a little bit neutral. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of neutral seconds.
Me too.
Yeah.
Neutral seconds are cool when used in the right context.
What's the main six of My Little Spoogly? Because there's Spoogly and there's Dogly.
It's Spylight Sparkle, Spapple Spack, Spambo Spash, Sparity,
Lol.
Splutter Spy, and Spinky Spy. I think that's everyone.
Wow.
Spinky!
No, Spinky
Oh,
Spy
no.
will just be Steven Weigel.
Spinky! All right, I need to read for the podcast the names that my boyfriend and I came up with for those characters. So here's the names that I found. Twiglet Sporkle, Rainbow Sprint, Twitter Shy, Applejacks TM like the cereal, Abnormity, and Pointer Pie.
That is brilliant.
Pointer
Nice.
pie. You mean like integer pointers or float pointers?
No, you got like Pinkie Pie and then Index Pie, also known as Pointer Pie.
Oh, I see.
My favorite one has to be Abnormity, though.
Abnormal.
But pointers can have multiple indices, right? If they point to an array or a vector.
I don't know.
Or to another pointer.
Okay.
What does the Lake Doramos accent sound like?
Like user -1.
Why would it sound like me?
Lol.
Yeah, everyone is like... Yeah, everyone in the Lake Doramos area is like, "Hi, have you been to Lake Doramos?" That was a terrible attempt. Or, in the words of Jimmy Carr, that's a dreadful accent, but it is how they talk.
So, if you thought that like it took a long time to fly across the back states, then, or actually, there's one more back, but then imagine how long it would take to ride Amtrak, like through the back states.
I like to imagine that the reason the government is trying to suppress knowledge of the back states is because they actually have high-speed rail and subsidized public transportation. And they don't want the rest of the country to see just how good it is there.
Fact.
Yeah, fun fact, Lake Uniqueland is actually where they invented 311 Edo. And they made all these keyboards with thousands of keys for it.
What?
And nobody knows about it.
True.
It's not just a government inside job, but a world inside job. Perpetuated, of course, by Uncle Sam and the CIA.
See, it's spelled Lake Uniqueland, but it's actually pronounced Uniqueland. Kind of like how Worcestershire is pronounced Worcestershire.
Yeah, I guess.
Makes sense.
Okay, I didn't expect to confuse everyone that much.
Wait, Worcestershire sauce was pronounced Worcestershire sauce?
It's pronounced, I mean, the correct way to pronounce it is Worcestershire sauce, yeah.
You didn't confuse me. I just didn't have a good reply.
Fascinating.
Well, the reason is because for a long time in England, people didn't know how to read generally. So they would change the pronunciation of the place, but the spelling would stay the same. And that's how you get places like Frome, which is spelled with an O.
Frome.
Worcestershire.
Worcester.
Worcestershire.
If you want to see some more medieval shenanigans, look at the border between Worcestershire and Gloucestershire.
No, everybody talks about medieval times. Nobody knows about the mid-angelic times because they only happened in the back states.
Dude, that is so true.
Yeah.
Also, speaking of pronunciation, so there's this state close to, like, Billimore that looks like it's pronounced Obrey, but it's actually pronounced Orby, believe it or not.
That's where Orbeez came from originally, and nobody knew.
You know how if you pour Orbeez down your plumbing, it'll ruin your entire house? Yeah, so actually, in that place, all of their plumbing is immune. I'm just... Sorry. Oh, Lord. Okay, that's not good.
She's coughing out an Orby.
Orby.
Oh no.
The government poured gunk down her throat to get her to stop talking about these illegal states.
They're illegal states because this is what we could have. This is what life could be like if that one Ford versus shareholders court case went the other way.
Yes, capitalism.
Capitalism.
Yeah, so as it turns out, the Louisiana Purchase was actually a scam because it originally contained all of these states, but the guy who was selling it was selfish that he, like, hid all of the states, like, folded them into, like, a wormhole, and then only gave the amount that we know. And, like, the person who got it still thought it was, like, such a big landmass, but unfortunately for us and everyone, he didn't know the truth.
Yeah.
I really like how there are 3 states somewhat close to each other on the map, and by that I mean you can read the text in one screen because the map is so wide. You got Lakeside Northern, Lakeside Southern, and Lakeside Mahvarb. So true.
Very true.
Hashtag inspirational.
So I wanted to talk about the fact that, like, so maybe you guys have heard of SPIFE intervals before. It's super particular, prime inclusive, fully entangled intervals. And it's basically where you've got super particular intervals. It's where, like, there's and you all know where it's a fraction where the numerator is one more than the denominator, and then it's but, like, the prime inclusive fully entangled part is basically saying that up to a certain prime number, it contains all of the primes before it and that prime. So, like, for example, 81 over 80 is a 5-limit interval, but it also contains primes 2 and 3. Or 9801 over 9800 has primes 2, 3, 5, 7, and 11 with no skipping. So that would be a super particular prime inclusive fully entangled interval, a SPIFE. So I counted, and apparently there are only 28 known SPIFE intervals. And the last one, named by Zenlium very recently, is called the Devacisma, and it is a 19-limit interval. And it is 633,556 over 633,555. And it has a width of about 0.003 cents.
That is interval.
That's pretty crazy.
That's surprisingly small. Like, The
Yeah,
numerator and denominator are surprisingly small for how recently it was found. Surely it must be possible to just brute force it for a long time to find more, right?
yeah, but like people have done that. I've tried doing that, and I haven't found any more. Like even like up to the tens or hundreds or hundreds of millions or like billions. I actually did this on one of my computers because I have multiple computers. Um, and I went up to like maybe somewhere around a billion. I couldn't find any more.
I guess we got to go further or somehow mathematically prove the conjecture that there aren't any beyond that one interval that you described.
Yeah, that there are only 28.
We're like, this is like the Zen equivalent of like the Riemann zeta thing.
I don't even know what that is.
The Riemann
hypothesis, yeah.
And this is the Zen man hypothesis or something.
Will this be in the Zen coloring book?
Zen man hypothesis.
We need to make a Zen coloring book.
I don't know if you guys saw, but the other day, this user on the main xenharmonic Alliance server by the name of Jumble kind of posted about how, like, in Scale Workshop, when in the interval analysis page, when you like play an interval and it kind of like the waveforms kind of cycle around the center to like show you how close it is to adjust ratio.
Yep.
So like his idea was that those kind of look like flowers to him, so he actually like colored them in, and then he said we should make a Zen coloring book where we just have like these Zen diagrams that people should like color in with stuff. And I think that's such a great idea.
I think we should make one.
Zen diagrams instead of Venn diagrams.
A diagram of a polar flower function was actually my profile picture for a while, a few years ago.
Yeah, and now it's like some kind of Chebyshev morphing polynomial.
It's one of the
thing.
Chebyshev polynomials because I independently discovered them when I was 16, and that's the most impressive thing I've ever done.
Except the Xendergarten version is drawn in crayon, which makes it even better.
Yeah, it's really impressive actually to not only independently discover an important series of polynomials, but to also draw them in crayon. That's the hard part,
Did you post it to the OEIS?
What, the Chebyshev polynomials?
Yeah, the online encyclopedia
they gotta
of
be on
integer
there
sequences.
already. I mean, they were discovered a long time ago, but I had no idea about them when I discovered them myself.
Oh, so you independently discovered them.
That's what I said, yeah.
Okay. Oh, and another thing I wanted to share was I made a Harry Parch style scale, kind of. I guess you could say whatever, but it's basically I took Harry Parch's 43-tone Genesis scale and I extend it from the 11 odd limit tonality diamond up to the 15 odd limit tonality diamond, and I replaced some of the intervals in the Genesis scale. For example, 32/27 and 13/11 are too close together, so I just took out 32/27 and replaced it with 13/11. And instead of having just 43 notes, there are 89 notes. And I posted it in the Dink Scales Bruh channel in the Xenharmonic Alliance Discord server as text instead of a link to Scale Workshop, which I probably should have done. But I did that for an earlier version of the scale, which only had 81 notes. But the 89 tone scale actually contains every note, or it covers every note of 87 EDO.
Interesting.
Just like Genesis covers every note of 41.
Yeah.
And both Genesis and my scale have 2 copies of notes. How about I name this scale Revelation, because Genesis is the first book in the Bible, Revelation is the last.
That's pretty funny, yeah.
I mean, I was thinking Exodus, but
Or you could choose just a random book. Name it Ruth.
Is Ruth an actual book in the Bible?
Yeah, Ruth is a book in the Bible, yeah. And the reason I know it is because I kept forgetting it was in there.
What about choosing like a lost book of the Bible?
Oh,
So
yeah.
like something that isn't actually canon, like the book of like Judas or something like that.
Or maybe some of the books, take some of the books that are canonical in one version of Christianity and name it after that. I think Ethiopian Orthodox has the most books of the Bible, but I'm not totally sure. Or you could combine 2 of them. Combine John with Matthew and get Jatthew.
Mon.
That'll be my version of the scale.
so like making this scale was just step 1 of 2. Step 2 of 2 is going back in time and giving that to Harry Parch so he can make even cooler music.
Oh, that would be cool. What was that instrument he made with the Genesis scale? I forgot the name of it.
Was it the Chromalodion?
Yeah, something like that. Imagine like an 89 tone. Here, let me just look up what it was called. No, not Harry Patch. Harry Parch.
Harry Patch.
Harry Patch.
Harry Patch.
Such an unnecessarily funny name.
Yeah, I typed it in wrong.
Harry Patch. What you mean your scalp?
Harry Patch would probably be like a name of someone in SpongeBob or something.
Harry Patch.
Since Tristan is describing what he's been working on, I should also talk about the thing that I was doing for a while, and I haven't really discussed this anywhere, not even my Tumblr. My main working theory in Zen right now is what I call the quasi-diatonic ternary theory. Basically, it's everything to do with adding comma steps into a diatonic scale. So that encompasses harmony, construction with either alternating generator sequences or generator offset thinking, as well as how to use those comma steps artistically. And I did a lot of research into the modes of the different scales that I have, and I came up with, first of all, different ways to use the modes that I already have, like describing a good sub-minor scale in tunings like 27 Ito that doesn't really have a good sub-minor scale with a properly sized semitone. I came up with a new naming scheme for this, and it starts with the number of small steps in the scale, and then the mode, or if it doesn't have a mode, you can just say diatonic. For example, like my favorite black die mode would be called 3S Aeolian. For scales that have a chirality like diasem, you would say like 2SL or 2SR. Diachrome die has one main non-chiral form and then 2 other chiral forms that are very similar in construction. And so those would be 5SC, and then on each side 5SL and 5SR. And then you can add a whole bunch of other stuff. I'll probably describe it on my Tumblr at some point. But I've been doing a lot of that. And part of the reason that I'm so glad I did that is because it might help me design a better quasi-diatonic Halberstadt keyboard for these microtonal keyboards that I'm designing.
Nice.
Yay.
I think that's cool. It reminds me of kind of my own note naming system that I made for 41 tone equal temperament. And 41 tone equal temperament seems like it would work really well for the system you were describing, because one EDO step of 41 covers both 64 over 63 and 81 over 80.
Yeah, those are the tunings that I typically go for. Anything that tempers out 5120 over 5103 is a lot easier to use.
The hemi-famity comma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I prefer to just call it 5120 over 5103, because if I say hemi-famity, is like, well, where's the full famity? You ever think about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking.
It's another conspiracy, actually.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy that was made up by the Hemi family.
This brings me back to my 41 tone system of like names. It's kind of designed like the note names are like solfege sounding, but at the same time, like they're meant to be more like, what's the word? Absolute. Like they're not like relative to like a scale. They're meant to be more like A, B, C, E flat, F sharp, that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
actually, it's very similar to ups and downs notation. But what I ended up doing is a little bit different. Each stack of, like, when you go back down an octave, like it changes the like the naming, not just the, and even when you go up a fifth, it changes it in a different way. So what I came up with was a like a consonant, or like a semi-consonant, whatever, followed by either ah or o, and then that is followed by either nothing, e, or ol sounds. So a good example would be, well, I mean, I could just tell you the root note would be na, and then I think po would be, actually, I think that's maybe a minor seventh, or a B flat, you could say. Ko is would be a fifth up from the root note. So na, I guess you could say, would be, I'm considering it being like the official tuning of these notes, like being centered around A440 instead of C261.6 or whatever.
A440 is way better. Anyone who uses C261.6, I don't want to be friends with you.
So you're saying you're not friends with me anymore? That means we can't do this podcast because I use C261 point something.
Why?
So
Why would you
can't be
do that?
friends with me.
A440 is literally in the name.
Because I like that C. It has the vibes, okay? I don't have to have a reason if it has the vibes, okay?
You know what is the best one to choose, the best way of choosing the one note and the way you will tune it?
A432.
C256.
C256 is good. I think it's just a little too far out of... It would mess with my perfect pitch. C256 is flat enough of C261.6 that it would mess with my perfect pitch if I went with that.
C256 good.
C256 in a JI scale, A would be A432, I think.
But you know what would be even better if you're looking at flat tunings is to use A425 point whatever, the Planck tuning.
Why?
Where it's like 135 octaves below the Planck frequency. I've talked about this before. Can't mention tuning standards without that.
That's kind of cool, though. Maybe I should base my system around that then. But I think A440 might be the best.
A440 is the standard.
Yeah,
There's a reason that I use A440. It's because it's so standardized.
yeah. I like to kind of change it around though, depending on or unless I'm being lazy, then I just keep it at the default C261.6. But
Imagine not following standards.
Couldn't be me.
A440, C261.6, it just depends on how I'm feeling, I guess. But anyway, so if Na was it was A440 plus or minus some number of octaves. Ko would be an E. Po would be, I think, a G. And then, so C sharp would be, I'm actually not sure what C sharp would be. I think it would be, you know what? I think it would be Cha. XA, Cha.
No way, C#, like the hit programming language C# developed by Microsoft.
What about D sharp?
What about F#?
I think everybody needs to start considering J sharp, you know? I mean, it's in Boole and Pierce notation, right? J sharp is an actual programming language, and it's quite obscure, which is why I like it.
Yippee!
I've never used it, and I probably never will.
I like bfunge, the esoteric programming language that can modify its source code while it runs and is two-dimensional.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, the last 10 minutes kind of reminded me that you can consistently define a lot of different Planck values, like Planck length, Planck time, and you can go even further, like Planck acceleration, Planck
Jerk.
jerk, yeah. And you can go to like other stuff as well, like Planck impedance, Planck resistance, Planck capacitance.
Oh yeah, you can keep going. Yeah, here we go. We got the Planck position, Planck velocity, Planck acceleration, Planck jerk, Planck snap or jounce, Planck crackle, and Planck pop.
That's pretty cool.
And when some people are at school, they are at Planck boredom.
I wouldn't be surprised if people in the 1800s decided to define the Planck position as Greenwich Observatory. If they said that, I would just believe it.
The Planck position.
Actually, I think we all know that the real Planck position is Lake Doramos.
Yeah! Lake Doramos! I love that place.
Literally was going to say the same thing.
More like Planck Doramos, am I right, guys?
Yeah. Oh, you're so right, guy.
Planck IQ.
Planck IQ.
The Planck. Hey, you know, I actually have the Planck IQ. It's 0, but like, help. No, it's the smallest IQ that you can have above 0.
Or the largest.
No.
Isn't 0 technically like infinite standard deviations?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so the Planck IQ is just whatever is the dumbest you could possibly be.
But Planck temperature is the hottest possible temperature.
Planck units are weird. Like the Planck mass is like, isn't it like 10 to the 8 kilograms or something?
10 to the negative 8.
Oh, 10 to the negative 8. Still, not the heaviest or the lightest.
Yeah.
Planck units are just like that.
Yes, it's got some other significance, I guess. But back to what I was saying. So, Cha would be it would be basically equivalent to like 81 over 64 or 14 over 11 or something like that in 41. Or C sharp, I should say. But if you want to do like a 5 over 4 up from A, So like a down C sharp, that would be chal. The L would be like a step down, and then adding an R would be a step up, and then adding an I would be 2 steps up.
So what you're saying is 9/7 from A is a chore to listen to.
A char to listen to. A chore to listen to would be 6/5.
Ground, have you ever wanted for like some magic creature to appear and like snap, and after this moment 5/4 plus 7/6 is actually 3/2.
Wow. Yeah, that would be pretty incredible. Although I would
Yeah.
kind of have to, rethink all of the scales that I spent the past few years of my life researching. So that would be a little bit disappointing. But on the other hand, 9 would probably sound great.
Yay.
9 would become the default one, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
And 12 would be forgotten.
What I love about 9 is just it is the most minimalistic Western harmony can get.
Yeah.
Not 7 EDO?
No.
7 doesn't have major and minor chords.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I like how D2 instantly started singing like the one thing I
Escape.
made in 9 called Escape. I'm not proud of that, honestly.
I like it.
I wanted to finish off my talk about my TED talk about the scale thing notation that I created.
I didn't know you didn't finish yet. I'm sorry we keep interrupting you.
It's fine. I was thinking of extending it a bit. 53, I don't think would be, 53 might not be that hard. 130 might be a little bit more of a challenge, especially because I have to find a way to basically add 4 more consonant sounds instead of just 2 to get all the way up to 65. And then I have to add like another like more vowel sounds or whatever to get to 130, so I can multiply the whole thing by 2.
I just wanted to point out that as I've been looking at this map, probably my favorite one of these back states is squaring. It's just a little square, and it's
Yay.
rotated at a funny angle, and it's called
Yay.
squaring.
Hang on, I gotta find this actually.
Yeah, I found it. It is in the middle of Xendergarten
it's
and
so
Oilland.
cute. It's like, it's tiny and like it's adorable.
Just above Griffin.
Is it east of Lake Doramos?
Yes, it is.
Well, on this map, Lake Doramos is kind of far west.
Okay, give me 1 second. It is blue and it is like in the top, but not.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. Okay.
It's tiny.
I found it. Yeah,
Oh, I think I found it.
squaring.
Squaring.
It's adorable.
It's just the wonky angle that gets me.
It's like the spoogly of states, of back states.
That's so true,
The
though.
spoogly of back states.
It really is.
Lol, my 3 monitors are too small to see whole map.
We need to tell the audience what spoogly actually is. Did we tell them?
No, it's me.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell the spoogly story, and then
Okay, give me 1 second for one stupid joke. Squaring is the place where they make squaric acid. The end of the joke.
Squaric acid.
the end of the joke.
Square.
Like we need something to indicate the end of the joke. The same way we need something to indicate like the end of the file. Like
let's see, left angle bracket / joke, right angle bracket.
Yeah.
Okay, so about Spoogly then.
It's grounds.
So when I was walking,
Oogly.
Stop it. It's time to stop.
Just the extremely sporadic interruptions.
Oogly.
Anyway, so back in July, I was walking to the mailroom from my apartment and I found like a ball pit ball. And then I walked back and then I walked there again and the ball was still there. And I'm like, well, nobody's going to pick this up. So I'm going to take this yellow ball pit ball home. And I had this yellow ball pit ball. It was in my car. I left it in my car for a bit. And I'm like, I got to do something about this. So I went to Walmart and I bought a hot glue gun because I didn't have one in my apartment, and some googly eyes, and also some Baja Blast chapstick.
How'd it taste?
At Walmart that day. I haven't actually tried it yet. Still, it's...
You gotta try it live in front of all the audiences.
You know what? I will, after I'm done with the story. Anyway, so I bought the googly eyes and the hot glue, and I went home and I glued the googly eyes on, and I put a little face on it. And then I walked outside and put the little ball in the grass. And I took a faraway picture, said, now hold on, who's that? Close up. Oh, it's Spoogly. Hi, Spoogly. And then I think it was it D who turned that into an emoji and uploaded it?
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah.
Yep, I didn't even think of turning it into an emoji, but someone just did it.
And now it's like one of the best emojis in Xendergarten.
And then I also recently made Soobly.
Soobly.
Which is spoogly, but
sad.
And then I made Dogly, which is a stuffed animal, a stuffed red healer that looks like my dog, but I put the googly eyes on it. All right, now I'm going to go find my Baja Blast chapstick, and so I'll be right back. I actually got a bunch of soda-flavored chapsticks, so I'll try the Baja Blast one right now. Well, I tried the Baja Blast chapstick, and it is lip balm. It does work. And it does kind of taste, or I guess have an aroma of Baja Blast. So yeah, I'd call that a success.
yay.
Nice.
Now it's time to eat it, because I'm hungry.
Leave a food review, or rate it out of 10.
Hi, welcome back to My Name is Ground, and welcome back to Hi, and welcome back to my mukbang, where I eat chapstick.
Oh no.
Oh, yes.
Top 10 spicy mukbang chapstick Baja Blast eating compilation.
Isn't it pronounced mukbang, by the way? Because isn't that a Korean word?
I am almost certainly pronouncing it wrong. However, given my accent, I basically pronounce everything wrong anyway. I can't even speak English correctly, so how can you expect me to speak Korean correctly?
Xendergarten mukbang episode.
Speaking of food, I did eat today a cookie that I cooked in a donut pan, and it came out okay. I had to cook it a bit longer than usual,
A conut.
but it came out looking kind of funny.
Or dookie.
Oh no.
So, some of you may know of an individual called Dolores Catherino, who
Yes.
did this kind of music called polychromatic music a while ago, like a long time ago.
Yeah.
Except she's now downgraded from 106 Ito to 55 Ito, which is one of the saddest top 10 anime betrayals in microtonality.
55 is a weird Ito to move to. It does have an excellent representation of isodifferential Mavilla. So it's got that.
Why not 72? That's what she was doing before, right?
It's because, like, 55, works well on Lumitone. But that's not the point. Because the big news is I've been doing all sorts of tiny things that are, like, slowly coming together in my slow cooker brain to eventually result in a 311 Ito polychromatic piece that I'm going to write. Because I figured out how to actually pretty intuitively work with 311 Ito in the DAW, believe it or not. Because I made my own polychromatic notation for 311 Ito. Then I figured out I could basically use that notation within the DAW because I could make a custom color map for the MIDI channels to match the polychromatic colors that I created. I also made like a whole table with like all the intervals and polychromatic note names, and I made a table of xenharmonics to make it easier to have different intervals in different key centers. And then I did this stuff with the with the Launchpad remapping. And eventually I'm gonna do stuff to like hook up the Launchpad stuff I've been doing with the 311 Ito stuff. Now, I'm probably not going to like be using 1 octave of 311 Ito except as a proof of concept. What's more likely is I'm probably just going to have different kinds of subsets of 311, like different MOS scales that I'm going to play around with just to get an idea of what kind of chords I like and don't like. And then I can use that to write the music. And because I'm working in an actual DAW, I'm going to have more interesting sounds than just like some sort of sawtooth wave with reverb like Dolores Catherino uses. Also, when I tried to make like just a 311 proof of concept piece with saw waves with a slight phaser on it, it sounded so bad because the saw wave, it was just like too pure. There was not enough movement in the sound. So like the challenge in like creating the sounds for this piece is I have to make a sound that has basically no unison detune, because I want you to be able to tell like a single step of 311 Ito, which is less than 4 cents wide. But I also want it to be like a sound that has some sort of movement. So it has to have some sort of like timbral modulation that has nothing to do with chorusing or flanging or detune or anything like that.
Pulse width modulation.
Use 311 EDO as the unison detune.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
That was my problem with 53 Ito, was just that what I said about 53 Ito is that the pentyl triad is so pure that it burns a hole in your eardrum. Because that's what it sounds like.
53's pentyl triad is actually really nice sounding.
Really? It depends on the timbre, obviously.
Well, what about 118 pentyl triad?
Oh, that's even more pure, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, user -1, continue.
So yeah, basically, I'm doing like a heck of a lot of stuff to try and get this thing to work, but it's extremely daunting because like 311 is a lot of notes, obviously, and I'm dealing with challenges that you'd never get with like other things. Like I have to create my sound so carefully, and the only 2 synths I can effectively use for this is Pianotech and Surge, because they are the only ones that let you use like different MIDI channels to shift the octave. And what I did, I even had to write a custom MIDI script to like translate like the way I'm using MIDI channels to represent different colors, to actually translate that to notes on a larger subset of 311 Ito, and then have the MIDI channels control the octave offset instead. It's pretty complicated, but like this is why I'm so grateful for Reaper and JSFX, so that I can actually program all of these specialized tools that I need. And when I made the first proof of concept for this 311 Ito thing, I had to use 33 instances of Vital. But then when I realized I could just use these other channels, these other MIDI instruments that have these extended MIDI mappings, like I only need 4 instances of Pianotech to cover the exact same range of 9 octaves of 311 Ito that it took me 33 instances to do in Vital. So I'm just amazed. Like, I'm so happy that like it at least works as a proof of concept, and I'm hoping that I could like make something that like sounds very genuine and like fluid and free and like creative and evocative and stuff, and not just like very rigid and formulaic and stuff, because the last thing I want is for my music to sound like that.
Nice.
I have one comment. Like, you feel happy that you are able to like make this idea into something that actually works. Am I correct?
Yes.
But are you happy though?
Happy.
That's it. That's an interesting question. The amount of joy that I get out of this project will largely depend on like how well the actual outcome is executed. Like
Yeah,
how
makes
good the
sense.
final piece will end up being.
Oh no.
Like if I make this whole system only for me to basically make robot farting sounds, then I'm gonna be kind of disappointed. But if I manage to make something that's like on par with the stuff that like Dolores Catherino and Sevish and other artists have done, then I will be like off the roof. Or in the wise words of Pinkamena Diane Pye, I will be roof-tastic.
Why not be happy regardless of outcome?
I'm happy.
I think the flavor of the Baja Blast, well, I guess it's not a flavor, the aroma of the Baja Blast lip balm has kind of gone away at this point. But that's okay,
That's a
because
bummer.
someday I'm going to buy a 2006 or earlier, if need be, Subaru Baja, and I'm going to paint it teal and call it a Subaru Baja Blast.
Eat more chapstick.
And that's my TED Talk, or something. What did they say?
Yeah.
You know a major triad that doesn't burn a hole through your ears?